I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God. You're an Old Testament professor, obviously read this. This trips a lot of people up. And reading it through our lens, it really feels like God is petty. I remember years ago hearing about skeptics, people like Oprah, who said she grew up in the church. When she discovered that God was jealous, that was one of the main things that drove her away from her kind of conservative religious upbringing. So why don't we read this and think God is just petty because he's jealous? That doesn't feel like an attribute that or a virtue. That feels like a vice.
Absolutely. I mean, what that actually reveals, the word there, what it actually reveals is the pettiness of human beings. Why? Because we're taking a human emotion and we're using that to express who God is, when you cannot express with human words and human emotions the things that God feels.
Okay.
Right? And so jealousy is petty. I mean, I think let's step back a little bit and just think about the word jealousy itself. Being jealous of someone is petty, because why would we think, oh, if God's going to be jealous, that's petty? Well, if human beings are going to be jealous, that's petty too. But it just goes to show the limitations of words to express who God is, right? And so this is anthropomorphism at its best. Why? Because as human beings, we can't think of God any more than our own words. And if we have finite words and God is infinite, then how are those words going to express what God really feels? So that would be my first answer.
Okay.
Right?
So do you want to keep going?
Well, I have a second answer, but yeah, you can.
You know what? Give me your second answer.
So the second answer is, this is why everybody needs to come to Talbot and take Hebrew, right? Because I mean, a lot of schools have gone away from the languages. And I'm just going to say, is learning Hebrew hard? Of course it is. And learning anything worthwhile is hard. Greek is hard. Hebrew is hard. These are all hard things. But the word jealous here, right, it comes from the Hebrew word kana. And I would say, rather than jealous, there's a jealous/zealous. Not God is jealous for you. I'd say it's more like God is zealous for you. God is chasing after you. He wants you. He's done everything to give up his own son. He loves you so much. That's how much he's chasing after you. When you see someone chasing after another person, sacrificing all that they are and who they are, they're zealous for them. Are they jealous in that sense? Yeah, but that doesn't express enough of that. So that word there, actually, it talks about God striving for someone. So, and now, again, one word does not express enough. And so for me, that goes back to, pastors need to learn Hebrew. They do, right? At the end of the day, translations aren't enough, because they're a translation. They're never going to be the original, right? So I met a gentleman. He's an awesome guy. He was actually part of the whole Christian band scene back in the 80s, before there were Christian bands.
Okay.
And he's like, Daniel, we met. He's like, you do Old Testament? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I can't get my head around. This is what really rocked my faith. Bible says God regretted making humankind. Noah and the flood, Genesis 6, right?
Yeah,
He's like, what do you mean God regretted? And I was like, okay, number one, like I just said, the words aren't enough to describe an infinite God, right? Number two, that word there can also be translated grieved. Grieved. So when you think about regret, there's grief, there's lament, there's this sorrow. It's the sorrow of this sadness. It's a sorrow of if my child does something wrong, I grieve inside. And so the word regret, maybe that's used as regret in different parts, or that nuance of the word is used in different verses and different contexts, but there's always different nuances that come out. And so he's just sat there and he goes, whoa, my whole world's changed. So words matter.
Just like that. That's amazing.
Just like that, And so words matter. Hebrew matters. And then not just looking things up in, online or in a Bible program, but really doing a word study to see how is this word used and what is semantic domain? What are all these things? Those are important things for pastors to learn. And so is it hard? Yes. Will it take hours and hours and hours? Yes. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. I mean, there's a friend whose life was changed because of one word.
So English, from the translations I've seen, it often means regret. And the problem would be God seems to go, yeah, I have a different take now than I did then.
Right.
Like I've made choices in life. I'm like, you know what? I meant well. I didn't, whatever, made a mistake. I regret that.
Yes.
Fill in the blank.
Yes.
But I made a limited choice.
Yeah.
God's not limited, so he shouldn't regret anything.
Right.
So if that were the translation, then it would be like this anthropomorphism that you're talking about.
Correct.
It's a way of just trying to humanize God not too much, but explaining God to human beings. And what we mean by regret would be different than what regret would mean for God.
Correct.
Same with jealousy, and we'll come back to that. But a better translation might be grieve,
Right.
which implies that our choices do affect God in some fashion. He cares about us. He loves us. And we don't have to get sidetracked about whether God has emotions.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're going to go to impassibility. I'm like, well, you know.
That is a huge area of debate, but it's very different to say that God grieves depending on how we understand God's emotions, and God actually regretted as if he didn't know. Now let's bring that back to jealousy. So your first point was, really this is showing, I've never thought about it this way, Daniel, is that when it says God is jealous, it should more be an indication about our pettiness, not about God's pettiness. I've never thought about it that way because we're importing a certain sense of jealousy when we read this.
Right.
And like I said, again, in our culture, jealousy is bad. But even if we don't switch to the word zealous,
Right.
and we use the word jealous, there are some things that I arguably should be jealous for. And you and I would both agree that's true for our spouses. I should be jealous for her affection. I should be jealous for her time.
Absolutely.
When somebody mistreats her, that angers me because this is my beloved.
Absolutely.
So even if we keep the word jealous, but nuance like the petty jealousy from a righteous jealousy, and then you add to that, there's a kind of zealousness that the God creator has for us. That's more what's going on in this passage. Agree, disagree?
Agree.
Tell me.
100%. Okay. And it's not either or, it's and, right? Like it's everything that we've said that really works together.
I love it. So takeaway is look at the Hebrew, look at the context, be careful of anthropomorphic language because we can only understand God so much.
Right.
We have language that takes us so far.
Right.
And we err when we take that language too far to God in a way it's not meant to be taken to God.
100%.
Great take. Love it. Thanks,
All right.
Daniel. So I'm going to ask you a tough question about your faith. How do you respond? If you're going to make the case for Christianity, you need more than good vibes. You need evidence and a way to find that evidence and communicate it well. Logos is the library that I use every day when I'm personally studying the Bible, when I'm preparing talks, lectures, getting ready for YouTube interviews. It's got original languages and tools you can use in one place and search in seconds. Start a 60-day free trial at logos.com/McDowell. Link is in the description.